Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle what is hands down the absolute biggest myth in the entire business world. It's a misconception that has quietly closed the doors of countless businesses. And that myth? It's the belief that once a business is profitable, well, failure is just no longer possible. Today, we're diving into the principles of cash flow management for entrepreneurs to figure out exactly why highly profitable businesses fail literally every single day, and more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
Okay, let's dive into this because it honestly feels a bit like a riddle. Picture this. You've got a restaurant, right? And it is packed every single night. Orders are flying out of the kitchen, and the accounting books show a massive 20 million naira in revenue every month. The profit statement, it looks beautiful. But then payday hits, and the bank account is completely empty. The suppliers are refusing to deliver tomorrow's ingredients because, well, last week's invoice still hasn't been paid. How on earth is this possible? The business is clearly making money, but somehow the doors are about to lock for good.
The answer to that riddle is that profit and cash are just completely different beasts. Profit is really just an accounting metric. It's revenue minus expenses, sure, but it's just your performance on paper. Cash, on the other hand, is the actual physical money sitting in your bank account or in your wallet right this very second. Cash is survival. It's the literal oxygen of your business. I mean, you can run a business for a little while without profit, but without cash, your operations stop immediately. No exceptions. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the old saying, profit is an opinion. And why is that? Because you can record a massive sale today, pump up your profit margin, and look wildly successful on paper. But if that customer bought on credit and isn't going to pay you for 60 days, well, that profit is basically an illusion when it comes to your daily survival. The exact same thing goes for unsold inventory. If you lock all your money into a warehouse full of products, you might be super wealthy in assets, but you are completely broke in reality. Profit is an opinion, but cash is a cold, hard fact. Let's make this super concrete. Think of your business like a giant water tank. It's a really simple mechanism. Water, which represents your cash, enters through a pipe at the top. This is from your sales, investments, or loans. At the same time, water is leaving through a pipe at the bottom to pay for things like rent, salaries, inventory, and utilities. And here's the kicker. It does not matter how pure or profitable that water is. If the outgoing pipe is draining water faster than the incoming pipe is filling it up, your tank is going to run dry. Your business will suffocate, period. So what exactly drains the tank so fast? Well, there are a few usual suspects, the real cash flow killers. The first one, surprisingly enough, is rapid growth. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, but growing too fast eats up your cash way before the actual profits roll in. Then you've got excessive credit sales, basically giving your customers way too long to pay you. There's also the classic mistake of mixing personal and business funds. Using the company account like a personal ATM. And finally, overspending during the good times. When sales spike, entrepreneurs tend to relax, buy shiny new office furniture, or upgrade their cars, which leaves the business incredibly vulnerable. Let's walk through how this actually plays out, especially with that rapid growth trap. Let's say on day one, you make a massive sale. Cash enters the business, and you feel rich. Because you're in growth mode, by day 10, you eagerly take all that cash and lock it right back in to twice as much new inventory, or maybe rent for a bigger shop. But then, here comes day 30. Your staff need to be paid, the electricity bill is due, but your new inventory hasn't actually sold yet, or your new customers are still paying you on credit. Boom, the cash squeeze hits. You expanded too quickly, and that growth consumed your cash before it could loop back around. So the crucial point here is understanding this very dangerous gap. Let's look at Ada, for example. She's a clothing trader. Ada buys stock for 200,000 naira and manages to sell it all in one single afternoon for 300,000 naira. Amazing, right? On paper, she literally just made an incredible 100,000 naira profit. But she sold it all on credit. Her customers promised to pay her next month. The problem, her supplier wants payment today. So Ada has immense profit, but absolutely zero cash. She is completely stuck in that dangerous gap between immediate profit and delayed cash. All right, to really master this, we've got to look under the hood at the mechanics of business money, because not all cash entering or leaving your business is actually the same. To truly know if your business is healthy or if it's just surviving on life support, we need to categorize cash flow into 3 distinct buckets: operating, investing, and financing. Let's break these down one by one. First up, we have operating cash flow. And listen, this is the absolute most important metric in your entire business. This is your main engine. It's the cash that's generated and spent through your normal day-to-day activities. Customers buying your services, you paying the rent, buying stock, paying the staff.
If your operating cash flow is consistently strong, it means your business can survive on its own 2 feet without needing any outside life support. Second is investing cash flow. This is the money moving in and out to build your future. Imagine a bakery that decides to buy a massive new industrial oven for 1.5 million naira. That's a huge outflow of cash, sure, but it's an investment meant to increase future production. In growing businesses, this number is actually often negative. And you know what? That's totally okay. But be warned, you absolutely cannot invest so heavily in the future that you destroy your daily operating survival today. And finally, there's financing cash flow. So this is your external money. Think bank loans, investor capital, or even your own personal savings that you've injected into the business. Financing is a fantastic tool. It helps bridge the gap during an expansion, or it helps you buy that big bakery oven. But we have to be incredibly careful here. Financing should support the business. It should never, ever serve as a permanent replacement for a broken daily operating income. If you're constantly taking out loans just to meet payroll, well, you have a critical operating failure.
Let's move on and see how this builds into an actual bulletproof defense mechanism for your business. It requires a solid system. Step 1, you have to track every single movement of money. Those tiny, untracked expenses, they will slowly bleed a business dry. Step 2, never, ever mix business and personal accounts. You've got to create a strict mental and physical wall between the two. And step 3, review your cash weekly. Honestly, if you wait until the end of the month to check your balances, you're reacting way, way too late. Once you're actually tracking things weekly, you get to play what I like to call the game of levers. Now, one lever speeds up the money coming in. You can do this by offering your customers a slight discount if they pay in cash today instead of next week, or by shortening your credit terms from 30 days down to 14. The other lever? That strategically slows down the money going out. This looks like delaying the purchase of non-urgent office equipment, or negotiating with your suppliers for slightly longer payment terms. Basically, you want the incoming pipe absolutely gushing and the outgoing pipe carefully, meticulously controlled. And hey, speaking of controlling that outgoing money, here is an absolute golden rule for you, the 24-hour spending rule. When business is booming and your account is just flush with cash, it is so ridiculously tempting to upgrade your lifestyle or buy that shiny new software package. But before making any major non-routine purchase, you have to force yourself to wait exactly 24 hours. This simple pause is the ultimate defense against emotional spending. Usually, a day later, you wake up and realize you don't actually need it right now, and that cash stays safely right there in the tank. Now, tracking your cash is great, but it's kind of like looking in the rearview mirror, right? To truly succeed, we need to be looking straight through the windshield, and that is exactly what cash flow forecasting does. It's simply predicting the movement of your money before it actually happens. Running a business without a forecast is quite literally like driving a car at night with your headlights completely turned off. You are virtually guaranteed to crash into a sudden rent bill or a supplier invoice that you totally forgot about. Forecasting, that turns the headlights on.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why forecasting is an absolute lifesaver. It reveals those sneaky, hidden gaps. Take a scenario where, over 2 weeks, your total income is 500,000 naira and your total expenses are 400,000 naira. Overall, the business is perfectly profitable. But if week 1 only brings in 200,000 in income, while $250,000 in bills are due right then, you've got a massive hidden cash gap. If you just looked at the monthly total, you'd be overly confident. But with a forecast, you see that crash coming in week 1, and you can proactively delay an expense into week 2 just to survive.
But look, even with the best forecasting in the world, surprises are going to happen in business. That is exactly why your ultimate safety net is a cash reserve covering 3 to 6 months of operating expenses. Imagine you run a barbershop, and your main clipper just completely breaks down out of nowhere. It costs 80,000 naira to fix. Now, if you don't have an emergency fund, your operations halt, your customers leave, the business bleeds. But if you have that 3 to 6 month buffer, it's just a minor hiccup. You casually pay the 80,000, and you're back to cutting hair an hour later. Ultimately, shifting your mindset from just chasing those occasional massive profits to really managing consistent daily cash flow, that is how you build a legacy. It's all about long-term stability. It means diversifying your income so you aren't heavily reliant on just one big client. It means taking those really good months and wisely reinvesting the cash back into the business rather than pumping up your personal lifestyle. It is about having strict financial discipline. That's what allows a business to survive economic shocks and genuinely thrive for decades. I want to leave you all with a final thought here. Take a really hard look at your own operations, or even the businesses you advise. Are you merely surviving on the illusion of paper profit, just crossing your fingers and hoping the numbers magically match up at the end of the month? Or are you truly thriving by taking complete, systematic control of your cash flow? Start tracking today, build that buffer, and make sure your business tank never, ever runs dry. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll see you next time.